Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Is it possible that little changes like sleeping just 5 more minutes a night could gain you another year of life? Our next guest thinks so, and he is here to tell us why. We welcome the author of Push, Unlock the Science of Fitness Motivation to Embrace Health and Longevity, Dr. Jordan Metzl. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Nice to see you.
So tell me this idea of these small gains making a really big impact on our health, but it kind of depends on exactly where you're starting from.
Well, thanks so much. And I'm sure many people didn't sleep last night because the Seahawks won the Super Bowl in your area. So this may be a good idea to talk about it. But the idea is based on a study that was just published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, looking at the effect over a long period of time, a 10-year period of time, on chronic disease and just small micro changes, walking a little more, sleeping a little bit more, and all eating a little bit healthier. And all these small changes seem to add up, which is consistent with some of the previous data we've had on things like exercise snacks, small bits of activity like taking the stairs or doing some air squats during the day, which add up over days. And this looked at adding up over years. And the effect is that if you make these small changes over time, even if they're really small, they can add up over months and years and make you healthier. And I like to explain it like if you're a baseball fan, this is not hitting the grand slam home run. This is not like I'm going to change. I'm going to start 2026 and I'm going to make this massive change in my overall health, and I'm going to do everything differently than I did it in 2025, because those usually fail by about 6 or 8 weeks. This is, in baseball terms, just hitting singles every single time, small changes over time, which seem to add up and make a big difference.
That's a great analogy, and it kind of helps solve the problem of motivation, because a lot of people do struggle with maybe they've got these big lofty goals that aren't so realistic, and then like you said, a couple weeks into the new year, they've already fallen off because it's not really possible.
Yeah, so the book that I just came out with that you showed at the top is called Push, and it's the book I just did on the science of motivation. What I did is I interviewed. I'm a sports medicine doctor, and interviewed my patients over a period of the last 4 or 5 years, looking at who was motivated and why they were motivated to do activities. It was really based on fitness. I went into that thinking that people were just not motivated. What I've come away with this and what my message is that motivation isn't something for most people they don't have. It's just they're not as good at strategizing how to make their willpower and their life add up. So if you're like a mom and you got a couple kids and you have a job and you don't have as much time, how can you strategize to put in activity to change what you're doing? I don't think you're not motivated. You're like, dude, my life is so busy. When am I going to have time to do that? So the whole concept is, how do I master my motivation? How do I make small changes? How do I figure out fitness and activity? What works in my life? And there's a lot in the book about that.
I love that you put all those structures in place in the book so we can easily, yeah, just kind of plug and play how it works in our own life. And tell me about how we approach exercise in our mind and changing that relationship with movement so that it doesn't become like a chore anymore.
Well, I'm a sports medicine doctor and I am a movement fanatic. So you don't want your sports medicine doctor to be a slug in general. And so I'm very much a movement enthusiast, borderline addict, but definitely an enthusiast. And
Okay.
so I want my patients to move. And the reason I want them to move is that people that move really can maximize their healthy longevity. I think this whole longevity movement has been increasingly uncovered as like take these supplements and do this red light therapy, and there's not a ton of science, although there's a lot of enthusiasm. But the thing we have the most evidence on is getting up and moving every single day. And so I want people to think about exercise as really one of the most effective ways to improve their healthy longevity, not necessarily living so many years longer, but living healthier. And so that's what I'm after, is maximizing your healthy longevity through movement.
Well, and what about that big component of sleep? It feels like that can be the toughest habit to make a significant change.
It is, but again, I think the whole idea that I have throughout the book is what's called lowering your cost to act. It's a behavioral economics term, which in English means, how do I make the path of least resistance what I want to do? So, for example, I'm having trouble getting to the gym, but I'm going to prepay 10 sessions with a trainer. So if I don't go see him or her, I'm going to lose my money. I'm going to start going. Or I'm having trouble sleeping, so I'm going to just leave all my technology outside of the room, and I'm going to start kind of getting my sleep space ready, dark, cool, which in the Northwest, you have a lot of dark, cool time this time of year. So how do I make that part of what I do? And so I can maximize my sleep. And again, the idea of kind of lowering the cost to act, making the choice you want to have functionally something you can work into your life seems to be the key to changing your habits. Because again, I don't believe it's willpower. I think it's really the idea of how do I make those motivational changes that I want to be part of my normal behavior pattern.
Well, you mentioned being a movement enthusiast. I know you're somebody who does these big races like triathlons. What's it like for you when you can accomplish a goal like that? Because it takes a lot of work just to be able to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a big part of what I do is push is a combination of it. I run a fitness community. I do like this year was my 40th marathon and 15 Ironmans. And again, the reason I do that isn't because it's always comfortable. In fact, it's often very uncomfortable. But the idea of push is not only pushing yourself to make yourself the healthiest version, but how do you kind of push yourself to find what's inside of you? And that doesn't mean you have to do an Ironman or a marathon. If you read this book or take this, that's not my message at all. What my message is how do you kind of push yourself both mentally and physically, psychologically and physiologically to be the healthiest version of yourself you want to be. And for many people, that involves setting a goal. So if it's a 5K walk or a swim or a yoga class or a triathlon or a marathon, it doesn't matter. It's all about just giving yourself a goal several months in the future that you have to push towards, which seems to help a lot for compliance.
Yeah, that's such a great message. Hey, thank you so much for sharing with us. It was so nice chatting with you.
You too, and congrats to the Seahawks.
All right. Okay, the book again is Push. We will have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.